Hey, I'm not surprised, motherfuckers.
What's up, guys? Welcome to the Courtside Soundoff podcast today. I'm Josh Evanoff. He's Angel Ortega. UFC Auckland, UFC Norfolk, NBA, boxing. A lot of stuff to talk about, including the biggest story of obviously recapping last week's fight of the century, biggest heavyweight boxing match in at least probably 19 years, I'd say. 18, 19. Before we get into that, we're going to start off with the UFC. UFC Auckland happened last Saturday night. Nobody talked about it because it was the same night as Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury, too. However, Dan Hooker defeating Paul Felder via split decision in an absolute war, a banger of a fight. Go back and watch it if you can. Both guys, it looked like Dan Hooker was coming out strong early. He clearly took the first 2 rounds. That's not even in discussion. And he came out, he clearly took the first 2. He looked good. His timing, his distance was on point. And Paul Felder's eye was swelling. At the end of round 2, his eye was swollen shut. His left eye, it looked terrible. But still, he went out there, round 3, and personally, I'll be honest, I thought he clearly won the fight. I thought he clearly took the last 3 rounds. You look at MMA decisions, you look at media scorecards, most people thought so. But regardless, last 3 rounds are bangers. All the last 3 rounds were absolute amazing to watch. Angel, did you see the fight? And if so, who'd you score for? Because I feel like most people are scoring for Felder, but they're like, it was close.
Oh man, I'm trying to remember. I forgot. Was it Felder who took on early on, right? And then, or was it Hooker who took?
It was Hooker who kind of jumped out of the early lead.
Yeah, he came out early, and then it switched to Felder, and then it came back to Hooker, right? That's how it ended up closing out, if I remember it.
Yeah, something like that.
It went something like that. So I feel like for the most part, if you win the first 2 rounds, and then you're able to get the last one, usually you have the fight in the bag if it goes to the scorecard. So yeah, I didn't have an issue with it. Crazy thing though is Felder's last 2-3 fights? Or I forget which ones. I know there's been some split decisions very recently in his favor, so it was kind of like, oh, we're here again.
Yeah. I went ahead and, I'll be honest, I scored the fight for Felder, and I think the reason, I feel like a lot of people are scoring it for Hooker, and I don't necessarily have a giant issue with it. I'm not going to say robbery, but I do think we should stop giving the fight to the wrong people. Because here's basically, round 3 and 4, clearly Paul Felder's. There's no discussion about that. He was looking good. Round 5, he kind of tags him, and for 4 minutes, I'd say 3.5 of that 5th round, Paul Felder was winning, and then Dan Hooker got the takedown, they got the raucous crowd going. It was a giant moment, and honestly, it won him the fight. But here's the thing, and it seems like it's something that's lost on MMA judging and MMA fans at times. Takedowns don't count for anything. Takedowns in the new scoring system, takedowns don't count for anything. What counts is what you do with that takedown. What you do with that takedown, and you do with the damage, and you move with advancing position. Dan Hooker got the big takedown. He got the slam takedown. It looked awesome, but Paul Felder was up within 40 seconds of that takedown, and Dan Hooker did no damage with it. That should not win you the round. It ended up winning him the fight, which ultimately made it even bigger. Paul Felder said afterwards he might retire. Seems like he's gone back on that. I hope he doesn't retire, because I think it's far too early to be having Paul Felder legacy discussions. The guy clearly has a lot more to give to the sport. I thought he won that fight. I thought he did a great job in coming back with one eye closed. I think he has a lot more entertaining fights left in him. But obviously that's a really tough one to swallow. Co-main event. I was very wrong on this one. I thought Michelle Oleochuk, you look at this guy, this for the record, I loved this fight to begin with. It was my gem of the card. It was in the co-main spot, but it's kind of being overshadowed by the main event. 2 young guys, 24 and 23, I think. Jimmy Crute, the hometown kid, taking on Michelle Oleochuk. Damn good performance by Jimmy Crute. Absolute awesome scrambles. He gets the Kimura and he yanks that shit. Amazing performance by Jimmy Crute. Andrew, you were on the Jimmy Crute train. You know what, man? I'm starting to hop on too. That was a damn good performance.
Hop on the train, my guy. Hop on the train.
He looked good. I knew Oleochuk's kind of downfall was kind of his ground game, but that was wow. That was really damn good.
It was nice. It was a nice submission. He had, like you said, he had a nice scramble. He went from top and then side, and he went back and forth a couple of times, and then until he finally got it and he found it. That shit was nice.
Yeah, it was a really, for as long as it lasted, it was a fun fight. It only lasted like 3 or 4 minutes. But the scrambles were really, really fun. And overall, the card didn't have a whole lot else to talk about. Angela Cowboy Hill. I just want to give a quick shout out to her because she is just killing it. I believe she now tied or broke the record for most UFC fights within a year. She had 6 or 7. She went 6. She won 4-2 in that stretch. Currently on a 3-fight winning streak. Be a very, very talented girl who's moving over from Muay Thai. She got the win there. Happy for Angela Hill. She's on that right track. It really seems like she's taking her time to get like into that position to be a contender. Looks like she's on her way now. Moving on to UFC Norfolk. UFC Norfolk, Virginia. And as we were speaking right now, Deiveson Figueiredo, for the main event, just missed weight by 2.5 pounds for this flyweight title fight. Yeah, that's bad. But anyways, so this main event, this is the most I've been hyped for a title fight for a while. I think you look at these guys stylistically, Joseph Benavidez, obviously, he's always been the clear number 2. Even whether it was a bantamweight or flyweight, he was the clear number 2. He's probably the most unfortunate man ever. He just happens to be behind. He was at bantamweight whenever Dominic Cruz was reigning, who's an all-time great, and then he was at flyweight whenever Demetrius Johnson was there, who's also an all-time great, and you can argue he even beat Demetrius that first time. Regardless, after that second Demetrius loss, he has been on a tear, and he couldn't get back to the title. You look at the names. He beat Tim Elliott, Dustin Ortiz, John Moraga, Ali Bogatinov, Zach Makovsky. He beat Henry Cejudo in a damn good fight. He lost to Sergio Pettis via split decision after tearing every ligament in his knee and coming back, and after taking 2 years off. But since that Sergio Pettis loss, win over Alex Perez, a unanimous win over Dustin Ortiz, and a finish TKO over Jussier Famiga. He deserves his title opportunity. Whenever they vacated the title, I was very, very happy that he was put in this position to win the flyweight belt. I'm glad they didn't scrap the division. But then you look at Deiveson Figueiredo. All the talk all week long since the fight, even since the fight got made, has been about Joseph Benavidez, Joe B finally getting his opportunity. But Deiveson Figueiredo, despite just missing weight, is a bad motherfucker. I love Deiveson Figueiredo. You look at, since he's gotten to the UFC, they say flyweights don't finish fights. This dude finishes fights. TKO win, split decision win, TKO, decision, submission, and every single fight that he's been, even the decision ones were fight of the night. The dude comes to bang. He's like a mini mini Vanderlei Silva. The dude, God of War is his nickname, and I couldn't agree more. I love this man with all my heart. I'm very happy this fight's happening, but Angel, you look at the matchup, you look at the fact that, obviously Joe B's been around for a long time. He's always been the uncrowned champ he's always been uncrowned number 2 for a long time. Do you think he finally gets the big one?
I mean, hopefully. I mean, you mentioned the Cejudo win. He had his losses are extremely forgivable because of the level of opponent he was fighting and who they were and at the time and still are. This isn't the making for a good one. It's a hard matchup once again, I would keep repeating it every week. I repeat it again. It's getting boring. Another, I don't think we're 100% on a decisive one. Benavidez, break takedowns, good volume of strikes. Variety's gone down a little bit. His footwork, I was watching some videos, isn't the greatest at times, which is a bit worrying. But, I'm sure we can get past that, and then I'm obviously, as a fighter and as a person, when you're trying to perfect your craft, you'll pick up on stuff like that. And I'm sure, he had like a decent break in between, what was it, a 2-year break, and then he came back and now he's here. And I'm sure stuff will get fixed, stuff will get adjusted, so it's no big deal. As for our man, Deiveson, I mean, he's coming into this, like you mentioned, the power, insane, nasty man, comes forward a lot. Could be his downfall. I saw that, at times he tried to go from those big hammer fists from above, but, that potential up kick, knockout's always there, which is a bit worrying, but, hasn't affected him yet, so we should be good. I saw his counters were really good. His takedowns are a bit simple from what I see, but you make it work. You got, and he's crazy explosive. And we'll see how that favors him in the 5-round fight. I think, is this his first time in a 5-round fight, Josh?
Joseph Benavidez or Davison Figueroa? Davison, yes.
So we'll see how that affects him, because I'm sure he'll do great those first couple rounds, but we probably see a decline in the end. And I'm guessing, just for that, the later rounds will probably favor Joseph. So, I mean, would you like me to give who I have as my prediction?
Absolutely.
So right now, I have, it's going to be close. I have Joseph. If he goes the distance, 100% Joseph will win it. I mean, I'm taking him no matter what. I imagine if it doesn't, if it's for Davis, it will be early on in the rounds, because I don't know how he's going to last in those later rounds. Especially since it's going to be his first time ever going into that. Joseph's already been there, and it shouldn't be that big of a deal for him. I just want, I think as long as he doesn't get caught, in a counter strike, is successful in the scrambles if they do decide to take it to the ground or whatever. I'm sure it will. It's probably going to happen. We're in for a good one.
Absolutely. I think I've been going back and forth for this for a long time, but to me, I think a giant key that we're just now literally seeing is the fact that he's missing weight. He missed it badly too. 2.5 pounds. He has an hour to try and make it. From when we start talking about that, he has an hour to try and make it. I don't think he will. 2.5 is a lot to cut in that time, but so obviously he's having a bad weight cut, and now he's going to have to fight 5 rounds for the first time in his career. He's probably going to have to measure himself. He's going to have to be more patient than he normally is. Because normally he just comes out and tries to bomb on people, and a lot of the time it works. He's a finisher. He only 3 of his fights have gone to a decision. But even then, Joby, he's very well rounded. He's always been the clear number 2. He has great wins. Ian McCall, Juicy Famiga, Ronnie Yaya, obviously Eddie Wineland arguably beat DJ in the first fight. Tim Elliott, Zach McCosby, Ali Bagotinov. The dude's all around just a very, very well-rounded fighter, and it's really, really hard for me to see, now that we're seeing with Figueroa missing weight. He's going to have that tough weight cut, obviously. He's going to have to go 5 rounds for the first time in his career. I don't think he's going to get it done. I've been back and forth for all week, but I think right now the bad weight cut is going to kind of putting it over the top for me. But here's the interesting part. And this is something that I didn't actually have scheduled in our chat to talk about. If Figueroa wins in the flyweight division, obviously this is the big reset. Because Cejudo saved the division, they're going to get rid of it before that. Then Cejudo brought all the attention to the division. He became a star. Now Cejudo's gone. They're having this vacant title fight. If Davison Figueroa wins and the belt's completely vacant, does UFC shut down the division again? Because it seems like the perfect opportunity for them to do so. Because they really don't want it around in the first place. And then having a clusterfuck of a situation like this just makes it even bigger. Like, do you think that the entire division will just be scrapped? Because at this point, Dana White kind of.
I hope not. I think getting rid of weight classes is a sad thing, because then it's like where do these guys go? I mean, they can go up to a weight class, but it's like, do they actually feel comfortable there? Is this kind of a forced thing? I'm sure these guys have, feel comfortable here, and that's why they're there. And I mean, and it would suck, because it's another title fight. It's another person in there who can be great. I think there's entertainment value there. I hope it doesn't get scrapped.
Yeah, but even then, I'd feel really, really bad, because when they originally going to scrap it, they cut half the division. So right now, the UFC flyweight division has I think it only has 15 fighters. If you look at that top 15, that's pretty much all they have. I can't remember the last time I saw an unranked flyweight fight, just because there's only 15 or so fighters in the division. So you look at that and it's I don't know if they'll scrap the division if it happens. I think it's very well possible that they could, But I think if Joseph Benavidez wins, I think they're going to keep it around. Just because I think the UFC kind of is coming to the realization that, like, now they're on ESPN Plus, now they need to kind of, have more fights around. They need to have more big fights around. And the flyweight championship, it's just a championship, that I'd say the majority of MMA fans probably don't care that much about. I love the flyweight division. I think you look at a lot of those guys that are in that division: Kai Kara France, Tim Elliott, Tyson Nam, Brandon Moreno, Alexander Pantoja, Davis Figueroa, obviously Jussier from Miga, and Jesse Beaver is right at the top. I fucking love this division. But I'm very well aware that most MMA fans don't. But even then, you just slap a title fight on ESPN, even people that don't know shit about the UFC, they're like, oh, damn, this is a big one. I should watch this one. They don't know shit. So I think that's why the UFC will keep it around. But if Figueroa wins, that's when things get interesting, because they don't like this division. Last time a situation like this happened, was BJ Penn versus Cal Uno. I believe it was the rematch. That one, it was for the lightweight title, for the inaugural lightweight title. That shit was a draw, and they didn't bring the division back for 3 years. So that's some MMA history for you right there. Anyways, moving on to the co-main. And I think we kind of talk about both featherweight fights here, because they're kind of just stacked right next to one another. There's Ian Cutelaba versus Magomed Ankalaev, which is my fight of the night, stacked in between them. But Felicia Spencer, Zara Fon dos Santos, and then Megan Anderson, Norma Viana. So you've got these two featherweight fights here, and I'm not going to ask for your winner of both fights, because, I mean, you could say it if you want. But of these four, because it seems like there's a mini tournament going on, Amanda Nunes says she wants to defend her featherweight title next. There's not a whole lot of contenders. In fact, this is the entire division.
Yeah,
the entire division is fighting on this card. Basically, it's kind of a given. Whoever looks the best out of these four is going to get the title shot. Who do you think is going to look the best? Who do you think Nunes faces next?
Okay, well, look, let me tell you this. It's just, look, I imagine Megan will probably be Norma, right? Isn't this, what's Norma's, isn't this one of her first fights?
4-0,
Uh-huh.
making her UFC debut.
Okay, yeah, exactly. I'm pretty sure Zara was submitted by Megan in the first round.
Correct.
Right?
Wasn't close.
Wasn't close. Felicia submitted Megan in the first round.
MMA maths.
So, through logic, I imagine Felicia probably wins here, and she's probably next in line for this title shot. Only lost to Chris Cyborg in a, what was it, a 3-round fight, 5-round fight, I forget. However long ago it was. Via decision. Didn't look too bad. I heard someone say, I'd probably make an argument she did better than, Julia Budd against her?
Absolutely. Oh, she absolutely did.
And,
took round one.
Yeah, so we'll see. I imagine Felicia probably gets that title fight against Amanda.
Yeah, that's the interesting part, because really so Megan, if she wins, which I think she will, she'll be on a 2-fight winning streak. Felicia, she would only have won one fight, in a row before that, she lost to Chris Cyborg. That fight was a banger. She showed a lot of potential in that one. I believe she's younger than Megan. So it's going to be a toss-up to see who gets it. I think you could probably market Megan Anderson more, because she's Australian. You can market the fact that she's gonna have a giant size advantage over Nunes, 2-fight winning streak. She'd probably have more highlights. But obviously Felicia has the win, so it's tough. It's tough to see who's exactly gonna be next. For the rest of the card, there's some names on there. They're going to give her a prediction for them. But Ian Cutelaba, Magomed Ankalaev, that is a banger of a fight right there. Luis Pena, Steve Garcia, that's going to be an awesome fight. I love Luis Pena, the violent Bob Ross. I thought he should have won last time out. Marcin Tybura, Sergey Spivak, that should be a fun heavyweight scrap. And then also, Gabriel Silva, Kyler Phillips is a nice bantamweight prospect fight that I got my eye on. After this next card, I can't wait, man. We're getting close to the violence that is UFC 248. We're going to talk about it this week, we'll talk about it next week, but Israel Adesanya, Yoel Romero, Zhang Wei Li, and Joanna Jędrzejczyk, mwah, perfect main event co-main, and there's some other bangers on that card too, so I can't fucking wait for that one. But anyways, moving on to the NBA, we're back from the All-Star break, we're back, Stuff's going on. The big really move, there's not a whole lot to talk about here. There's kind of a couple stories, a couple threads to pull on. The Lakers released Boogie Cousins, signed Markieff Morris. I guess I'll ask you straight up. Do you think this is the end of Boogie Cousins' career? Based on the injuries?
It's bad. It's bad. It's bad. I mean, he needs to take either a massive break, collect himself, come back, and see if there's any hope left. If not, you made a good amount of money. Save yourself, the damage from your body. Live a happy life. You made some good money. Look into something within basketball and continue your career. I think at the end of the day, what matters most is his own personal, physical, and mental health. Because I'm guessing, through this, I mean, it must be it must be hurting him. Just going through all this crap within the last couple of years. Not being able to play, and obviously just the actual physical pain of not, being able to do what he likes to do. I know some teams have looked into. I think the Clippers actually looked into him, which was interesting.
I didn't even know that.
So on 2K, we could have a team with, Cousins, Paul George, and Kawhi Leonard, which would be cool, for 2K aspects. But in reality, I don't think it'll happen. Hopefully, he figures something out. I still think a year and a half break should have been taken before he came back. It wasn't a smart choice to come back as soon as he did. I know he had high hopes for. I mean, imagine he thought he was going to win a ring with the Warriors, but things didn't work out like they did. And it is what it is, and we got to go on from here.
Do you like the move of signing Markieff Morris? Because that's pretty much the main reason why they released him. Because they're looking at Boogie coming back for the postseason.
Well, they were chasing him hard. They had been chasing him so hard. It's good. It's another role player on the team. It's another guy they can kind of rely on, who will just do what he has to do. As far as that, 3-and-D, that's the deal, and that's what they need, and that's great for them. I mean, JaVale's doing enough for them, and AD can switch off to center if he really needs to, and they have White too, and both those guys are performing. So at this point, I mean, it's like Boogie would have just been just an extra accessory to the team that they really didn't need, and they might as well spending on someone else. So I understand the move from the Lakers' perspective, and I don't think it was bad. But it just sucks because, Boogie loses out on being part of a team.
Yeah, that part really, really sucks. And here's the thing is that he's not actually going to, you brought up he's made a lot of money. Contrastly speaking to us, he's made a shitload of money. To the average person, he's made a shitload of money. However, he's not made nearly as much as he should have because he didn't re-sign with the Pelicans. Pelicans offered him 2 years, $40 million. He went to go play for the Warriors for $5 million, and then he got injured. Obviously, he signed with the Lakers. I don't know how much he earned from the Lakers. Not much, because considering he didn't play. So yeah, man, he didn't make nearly as much as he probably should have in his career. But I hope it's not the end, because I still think if he's healthy, I think it can absolutely be a valuable aspect, just based off of the fact that I feel like he'd still be a decent guy who could shoot. I feel like he'd still play decent in the paint. He's such a force. But the question is if he'll actually be healthy. So, that's tough. That's real tough. Anyways, moving on. The Bucks clinched the fastest postseason berth in NBA history, which is shocking to me considering how many other teams have been amazing throughout history, and they're not even on pace to be an all-time amazing. They could be, but I'm talking about record-wise. Do you think that obviously they're the favorite in the East. I'm not even going to ask you that question, but do you think that they're probably the favorite in the NBA right now?
They're up there. 100% they're up there. The thing is, it's on the other side of the country, we have, the Clippers and the Lakers in existence, you know what I mean? But the thing is, the Bucks team is killing it, they're killing it in the season, and on paper, the team has all the aspects you need to be successful. Role players, star players, and then, guys who've just been successful throughout their career.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, they have George Hill, Cal Korver, Brook Lopez, those guys who will play their role and do their best for the team. Picked up Frank Mason, and they have the other Lopez brother now, So they're in a good position. Their team is big. They can cover the court well. They have some, just good pieces in there who get them through. And I think it is a matter of the team just plays to the best of their ability and is super consistent and solid. Because I think in the postseason last year, there was a moment where their 3-point shooting was just atrocious. That was their biggest downfall. And it was bad. Hopefully that doesn't become an issue again now with a couple more pieces. That maybe there's some more consistency. Giannis being more comfortable. He's not there yet, but he's getting better at it. And it's all good.
Yeah, honestly, I think we all expect them to be pretty damn good, but I'm really surprised at just how good they have been. Just based off the fact that a lot of their team is, generally speaking, role players or guys who are kind of playing higher to abilities than, we've seen really in their career. That's what I'm trying to say. But, yeah, man, good for them. Good for them. I'm really, really happy for that team. I'm really happy for Giannis. I think he's definitely going to be the MVP at this point. It would take a long shot for someone like LeBron to catch him, but he'd have to get injured. Like, I never want to say never, but he'd have to get injured or just completely suck ass for the rest of the season. But I don't think that's going to happen. Do you have any other stories that you kind of want to talk about, threads to pull on in the NBA?
Well, the Timberwolves got fined $25,000 for resting D'Angelo. I don't know if you read that.
I actually had no idea about that.
Okay, so yeah, this is pretty recent news. I remember a couple nights ago, and I think they've been doing it for a couple games now. They've been not letting him play, and I'm like, that's weird. But yeah, they're arresting him because they're trying to tank. They can't. I don't think they'll be able to tank as hard as the Warriors have. The Warriors are 12-47. They're 17-40. At this point, I don't think they should be crazy worried about tanking. Just let the guy play here and there. Reduce his minutes, and you should be good. It's not like you're going to go any lower than that. You're competing with the Warriors and the Hawks and the Knicks and the Cavs, so you basically have the same record as. So that second pick and that third pick is going to be a war at the end of the day. But I'm pretty sure the Warriors have secured, being up there. Granted, the balls are going to drop and anything can change. We saw the Pelicans get the number 1 overall pick. And we all thought the Knicks were going to get it and they were going to have Zion and, Rainbows were going to come out and, Knicks would be good again. Didn't end up happening like that. But now we're here. We're still really far out from that because, we still have the postseason to go. College basketball's still going. Players aren't set yet in stone who are kind of the good guys. Obviously, there's some guys who kind of made these names for themselves. I haven't kept up with my future, with the draft class this year as much as I have in the past. I'm not the biggest college basketball fan, but I try to check it out here and there when I can.
I'm not even going to pretend I know anything about college basketball. I'm really not. I don't know shit.
It's all good. We'll predict March Madness and we'll get it correct and we'll look smart.
That's true. I like talking about March Madness. I enjoy March Madness. I don't know shit about what's happening, but I always pick one underdog to go super far, and sometimes I'm right.
All I know is the KU is killing it, so that's all I care about.
Good for them. Good for them. Good for KU. God knows they've been waiting for success, you know what I mean? God knows they've been struggling for a long time.
Hey man, we met Bill Self.
But it's true, we did meet Bill Self, Big Three. I wanted to talk to him, but he didn't have the time.
Like most successful human beings.
Yeah, he just kind of waved us off, but it's all right. We met him.
It is what it is. Did you check out the Zion LeBron clash? Did you see that?
No.
They played each other.
Shit. Yeah, I did see that actually.
Yeah, they played each other. Zion did good. LeBron obviously was LeBron. He looks good. It looks good. That's all I have to say. It looks good.
Dude, I'm excited. Operation Pels Lakers. That's all I want. The Pels are within striking distance. They've been looking damn good lately. Memphis is they've definitely cooled off. By the way, Thunder been killing it. Right now, playoffs are to start. Thunder Rockets, something I want. But also, Operation Pels Lakers. I need it desperately. Inject it straight into my veins.
There's hope. I think they're on a winning streak right now. They were. They were.
Yeah.
They were on a good one. They lost one in between. It's all good. It's only one. They're 6 in front of the last 10. They're looking good. And to be honest,
they are 3 games out.
To be honest, though, it's still really close for that 8th seed, which is kind of exciting, but not. Because
Like,
it's
technically speaking, everybody but the Timberwolves and the Warriors are still in it.
Oh yeah. You know what I love? I love it, like the Kings just like anybody just like snuck in. You know, because like the Blazers have been working for it. Obviously, the Pelicans got Zion now, so they're on that win streak. And then the Spurs would miss out on the playoffs for the first time in who knows how long.
My entire lifetime they've been in the playoffs. Pretty sure.
Yeah, exactly. So this would be the first time in however many years. But as it stands right now, this is what we got. I mean, playoff picture is not set. How far out are we from that? I know we're not too far.
2 months? Don't quote me on that.
I know, but I mean, like, game-wise.
Game-wise? Hold on. Let's do some quick math here. About 57 games into the season. 57, 58.
I think we're
We've
like
got 24 games left.
24 games. So we're like 10 to 15 games away from getting a good idea of who's set, right?
Yeah.
For the most part, I feel like that's when it kind of starts taking form when there's a five games left or 10 games left. I suppose like that.
But goddamn, 2 through 7 in the West are so close. So close.
Oh yeah, anything can change. Anything can change. Anything and everything will change. East, a bit more depressing.
The sacrificial lamb of the Orlando Magic.
Yes.
Making the playoffs.
To the Bucks, yes, it's all good. Someone has to do it. It will be them. KD's going to return.
The Nets with no Kyrie or KD.
Or DeAndre Jordan really playing either.
They signed DeAndre Jordan. They just shat his ass on the bench this year.
DeAndre Jordan was just like a fuck it pickup. They're like, just fuck it. We'll pick him up and just to make their team look good.
Yeah. We'll see. They're like I remember whenever he got signed, they were like, oh, new big three with KD, Kyrie, and DeAndre Jordan. I'm like, man, you can't throw DeAndre Jordan in there and pretend we didn't notice. Like, he hasn't been good since he left the Clippers.
To be honest, that team is really nice though on paper. Like Kyrie, KD, Spencer Dinwiddie, and Karis LeVert, Joe Harris, and DeAndre Jordan. Yeah, as long as KD's healthy.
I mean, they're in the East. Fuck yeah, man. They'll be a top 3 seed probably.
We'll see, Josh. You might have just jinxed him.
Potential. Well, it would require Kyrie and Katie to be fucking healthy, which is something that I'm not optimistic for. I've been very vocal about KD not being healthy coming back from that injury, considering he's like he's 30 or 31 now. He's older, coming back from that type of injury. I think I could be completely wrong on his age, but I feel like Kevin Durant's older because he's been in the league forever.
I mean, he used to be part of the Seattle Sonics.
Yeah, he's 31, and Kyrie's younger, but he's injured basically all the time.
It's those knees, bro.
He's in a constant state of hurt.
Aren't we all though?
That's facts. Yeah, you got a point.
Yeah, I mean, as of that though, do we have any more NBA news, Josh? I think we covered all of it for the most part.
I think we covered all of the bases. So now we move on to the big boxing match. It's the boxing match of the century. Probably the biggest heavyweight boxing match that I've personally ever been privy to. Deontay Wilder versus Tyson Fury 2. Last Saturday night from the MGM Grand Garden Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada. By the way, MGM is far better than T-Mobile Arena, and it really pisses me off that the UFC only does T-Mobile. Anyways, that's besides the point. So they're at the MGM, undefeated boxers. Obviously, a rematch of their first fight, which went to a controversial draw. A lot of people thought Fury won. I didn't have a problem with the draw. I actually scored it a draw. But anyways, Fury said in the lead up all the time he's going to walk Deontay Wilder down. Deontay came in 20 pounds heavier, so did Fury. And I have my thoughts on if that played to their advantage. Anyways, first 2 rounds pretty competitive. I think first 2 rounds go either one's way. I gave, I believe 2 of the 3 judges gave the second round to Wilder. I'm pretty sure they all gave the first one to Fury. 2 of the 3 gave the second round to Wilder. I gave it to Wilder as well. He landed 3 or 4 right hands in the first 2 rounds. He was moving back, but he was still in it. 20 seconds into round 3, I think it was 20 seconds. It was early into round 3. Tyson Fury lands a right hand right behind the ear, hits him, he drops him, and from that on, it was done. His equilibrium was gone. His ear was bleeding. Ridiculous. It looked ridiculous how much his ear was bleeding. And then he knocked him down again in the 5th with a combination followed up by a body shot. 7th round, corner throws in the towel. I have a lot of questions about this fight, but I'll just ask, how impressed were you by Tyson Fury? Because this is the most I've been shocked by any fight in a long time.
I mean, it was all because of that shot behind the ear, man. I think if that doesn't go down, maybe the fight goes a little different. It was still Tyson was still bringing the Deontay though. I'll tell you that. But let me tell you this. I mean, we all knew, and we said it time again when it comes to raw boxing skills, 110%. Tyson is way better. Footwork, slipping, just all the technical aspect Tyson has down. Against Deontay. Deontay is just has this, to put it lightly, just really athletic guy, just crazy athleticism. Obviously the knockout power in his fist is his thing. It's his domain. But it's no lie. I mean, he doesn't have a really good jab. His defense isn't really. I don't think he's really that good. His footwork is piss poor, and that's a fact. I mean, you saw it. I mean, it really is. It really is, and it's true. You can go back and look at all these fights. We all knew this. I like Deontay just because the knockouts were crazy. But the thing is, though, we always knew this was always gonna be a factor. And he's giving this amazing ability that allows him to do this. But he still had, and I mean, we won't get to that yet. But he looked good. He dropped this man twice. I mean, it's still there. It was just that shot affected him. That changed everything. If that doesn't happen, who knows how the fight goes? We can't set up any scenarios. I don't want to think of any hypotheticals. We're just gonna go off what we had. But that's what the fight was, and that's what happened. And and we knew no matter what going to the scorecards, what potentially could happen at the end of that fight.
Yeah, absolutely. And for the record, Fury was up on all scorecards significantly. So even if the towel wasn't thrown in, he was probably going to get slept. And if he didn't get slept, it was going to go to a wide decision. I understand the argument that Wilder, he has the right hand, and he's like, oh, he has the right hand at all times. He's in it at all times. But you're not in it if you can't set your feet. And Deontay Wilder was stumbling around. You know what I mean? He couldn't set his feet. All the power comes from his legs. He sets his feet, and then he throws the right hand. He arcs up into it. He puts all of his force behind it, and he throws the right hand. But he couldn't. He couldn't set his feet. So you're not in it. He threw right hands. He still threw moving backwards, but none of them had force behind it. He threw the right hands that he threw in the first and the second were significantly different. So I don't want to hear that he was even in that fight. He was not going to win that fight. At no point after that equilibrium shot, and a lot of people were like, he burst his eardrum, and then once you come out that he didn't, they're like, oh, so there's no excuse then. He was just getting beat up, and I'm like, no. Here's the thing about it, getting hit in the ear. That fucks up your equilibrium no matter what. You don't have to have a burst eardrum, but for that to happen, his equilibrium was shot regardless. He was stumbling around for a reason. You know what I mean? We see it all the time. I see it a lot more in MMA than in boxing.
It's probably more in MMA.
Yeah. In MMA, we saw it happen to Cain Velasquez with JDS. We've seen it happen other times, obviously, as well. It's a very popular shot in MMA, honestly. In boxing, though, that was bad, man. That was a bad beating. He outstruck him. I think it was it 82-34? Power punches, he outstruck him. It wasn't even really close.
It was all because of that shot, though. I mean, there's no denying it.
Absolutely. Which I think is part of the reason why you can sell me on a trilogy fight, which we're about to get into, because Eddie Hearn got up there on the following day, said that we're gonna do everything we can to make the fight happen between Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua, and we're gonna do all despite the fact that Pulev versus Joshua was confirmed literally the next day. He said he's gonna do everything he could to make it happen. The next day, Wilder came out and said, by the I didn't list this, but we're going to get into his costume discussion. But So he confirmed that he's enacting his trilogy clause. It's important to remember, trilogy clause is there for both guys. They're contractually obligated to do this. I saw Max Kellerman was talking about on First Take about how, Tyson Fury also needs to agree. No, he doesn't. He's contractually obligated to. Whenever Hakeem Rockman knocked out Lennox Lewis, they had to do a rematch because it was written into both of their contracts that one side can enact it. In this situation, Bob Arum said it has to be done by like July 18th, and Fury will get 60%, 60 to 40 split. So Fury's getting 60%, Wilder get 40%. Is there any interest from you on a trilogy at this point? And I mean, do you think that Wilder has a chance?
Oh, most definitely. I mean, first of all, we saw it last year, man. I mean, it wasn't the same scenario, but we saw it last year. We saw Joshua, fall in devastating fashion to Andy Ruiz, and we saw him come back at the end of the year. New man, new perspective, more focused. Outboxed his balls against Andy. Very boring, but he did it. He won, he regained the titles, and he's, heavyweight champion of the world once again. And then Deontay and them, they have history, bro. They have history. They fought in that first fight. He dropped him twice. He did it. And I mean, the same thing happened to Deontay now. There's some respect there. They know each other so much better now. It's going to be the third time. And there's no way he hasn't learned a lot, and there's no way Tyson hasn't learned a lot from him, It's dangerous for both of them. It really is. I mean, they're risking a lot. They're putting it all on the line. It's going to be very tough to rebuild after this third fight, And, I mean, the damage done, I mean, let alone that. I mean, that's beyond. But this is this time to rebuttal and make a difference. I mean, he defended his title so many times. He's lost it. He's tasted defeat. I mean, we get to see what kind of man Deontay Wilder is in that ring. I'm not no one to, question anybody's integrity, but we're going to see if he can rebuttal, especially a fighter. And I'm sold on it. And I mean, and I knew there was there's no way there isn't a rematch clause. I mean, there's going to get an act. There's no way it doesn't. And it did. So now we'll see what goes down whenever. I'm sure Deontay's probably going to try to delay because he needs to recover. He needs to get ready. He needs to set up a camp. He needs to get with his trainer. He needs to figure out what's wrong. I mean, we know what's wrong, but sometimes when you're that person, you don't want to admit your own flaws, and especially when you're an athlete. And we've seen it time and time again with fighters and and whoever. There's flaws in their game, and they don't see it until it's the worst of times. So I mean, going forward, I'm excited. I want to see it. I had fun first one, second one, and I mean, you got me sold on the third.
Yeah, personally, last week, whenever we were talking about and giving our predictions, I said I didn't want to talk about the rematch clause and say, is a trilogy next, after what happened with Jan Blachowicz and Dominic Reyes and all that stuff. But I thought, in my head, the only way that we're not going to get a trilogy is if it's a super lopsided fight. Tyson Fury put on is about as lopsided of a fight as you can get. We're still getting the trilogy. And a lot of people are saying it's not smart. It's not smart. Deontay should not do it. He should go fight some other people and then have the fight happen. Here's the important thing in boxing. It took what, 2 years? 2 years after the first fight for this to happen. Whenever they were both champions and way more money was on the line. Deontay has it in his contract where he can automatically get the rematch. It is guaranteed. And this is really win or lose. Like, obviously, if he wins, the opportunity will be there for the big paydays. If he loses, he could lose on so much more. But even if he takes some more fights, he may never get back to the title. That's just the reality of boxing. That's really, really shitty. But whenever you have big promoters and big stars, that's just the reality. Dudes get shut out. And a lot of people consider the fact that Fury probably won the first anyway. So a lot of people look at his Fury being up 2-0. We're going to get the trilogy. I think the fact that we have the Wilder right hand is always available. He knocked him down twice in the first fight, and the second one was really entertaining too. And Wilder was having success in the opening 2 frames too. It seems like a bit of revisionist history after the final 5 rounds. The first 2, before he got rocked, really competitive. You can see that in the judges' scorecards. It was competitive up until then. People say Wilder was never even competitive. You could look up the highlights. He landed some good right hands. Even Fury, who really only took a couple right hands in those first couple frames, looked at the post-fight press conference. His entire left side of his face is fucked up. So he definitely got hit a couple times. But anyways, I'll I'll ask you this. So heavyweight boxing is huge over the next few months. White versus Povetkin is going to happen in May. It's going to be a pay-per-view on British pay-per-view. It's going to be on DAZN in the States, I believe. That's happening in May. May 2nd, I believe, is a reported date for that one. Obviously, Dillian White is now the number. He actually is ahead of Wilder. Now it's on heavyweight rankings according to the Ring, which I think is dumb. But regardless, he's the WBC or WBA interim champion. You look at Joshua Pulev, which got announced by Eddie Hearn for June, early June, in the UK. That's how it happened in June. And then you look at July, Fury Wilder 3. The trilogy fight all comes to a head.
And Adam's fighting next month.
Who?
I mean, he's still far. Adam Kawanaki.
Oh, who's he taking on?
I don't think it's anybody too relevant, but he's an up and comer. He's getting himself in that conversation, and he's fighting Wilder's training partner. I think he's Finnish, Robert. You know who it is. You know who it is. You just say you know who it is. That's who he's taking on. Ranked, in the top 100. Adam's getting up there now. I'm just throwing it out there for conversation's sake because we as far as heavyweights we're in a very good position, and there's a lot of guys who contend and have shots at titles here.
Also happening, Usyk versus Chirosa.
That's set up.
That one's happening. That's happening. Yeah.
Okay.
So you look at all of these ones, all these big matches that are happening. If you were to pick one out, which one is the one you're most excited for?
Pulev and Joshua probably, dude. I feel like, let me tell you this. I feel like Pulev has upset potential. Is it likely to happen? Probably not, but I like the odds. The thing is right now what we have is, we saw like the two biggest guys, what at one point was probably number 1 and number 2 lose within the year, Joshua and Wilder. And now, this kind of opens the door. If I'm a heavyweight, I'm excited. I'm not, there's potential here. No one's untouchable. Outside of maybe Fury at this point, right? But even then, he hasn't looked too untouchable. I mean, the volume one, the cut, all that looked a bit scary. I mean, he got dropped twice by Wilder not too long back. I mean, he hasn't had it easy either, And now, we have Andy in a conversation now. He looked there. We have Adam coming up. We have Joe Joyce trying to make a name for himself and get into those big money fights. I mean, Joseph Parker's still in the conversation. Beat Andy in a close decision win. Probably should have been Andy's, but he's still there. He's fighting soon, and there's a lot of things going on right now, and there's a lot of conversations to be had because I think we know who the number 1 heavyweight of the world is, or have an idea of who it is. But it's not set in stone because a lot of things could happen that could change, and there's a lot of guys here who want that opportunity and who are hungry for it.
Absolutely. I think I also am on the same team. I think Pulev has he has upset potential. I don't think it's the most likely thing to happen, but I think it's absolutely possible. I think that Joshua's shown a certain ability. The blueprint's out on him, right? It's forward pressure, get in, close the distance, close the range, get in close. Ruiz showed that. He wasn't able to do it in the second one because Joshua kind of showed a more stick and move style, much more kind of defense oriented, very much.
The blueprint is set.
Yes, the blueprint. It's similar to Wilder. The blueprint is set, but we're also going to see Wilder taking on, Fury next, and who knows what Fury we're going to get, which I think that's a bigger problem for Wilder also. Are we going to get the Fury that's kind of defensive and complacent? I don't think so. Because, he's still at that Kronk gym. If you look at that Kronk gym, that kind of Sugar Hill Stewart and Emmanuel Stewart kind of trained gym, they have some fucking killers. If you ever saw a dude from the Kronk gym, you knew you were getting fucked up. Those dudes come to bang. And Tyson Fury came to bang, dude. Like, he was walking Wilder down, even before the knockdown that messed up Wilder. I'm super excited for that trilogy. If out of all the big fights, I'd probably put that one number 2. I'm excited for Pulev Joshua, but the one that I'm really looking at, in terms of most fun, I think Dillian White versus Alexander Povetkin is going to be a banger. I think, and I don't know if that one's officially confirmed yet, but I saw Eddie Hearn said that he wants it, and that it's most likely going to happen next in May. Povetkin, obviously former, I believe, WBA champion. Dillian White right now, I don't know if he's still the interim, WBC interim champ, but regardless, He's on a great streak right now. Last time he lost was to Joshua a long time ago, probably 5 years ago at this point, I think 4 or 5. Chisaro win, Lucas Brown knockout, Joseph Parker win, beat Chisaro again, Rivas. The guy's on an amazing streak right now, and Alexander Povetkin comes to bang every single time. I'm really, really excited for that one. That one's probably going to go down in May. I'm really, really happy for that one. But even then, I put the spotlight in all these fights. I want to talk about all of them to a certain degree. But Joshua Pulev obviously is going to happen. Pulev's on his streak. I'm happy for him getting the shot. I really, really am. And then obviously Wilder Fury 3 is going to be. I'm really, really excited for that one as well. And then finally, to end our discussion of boxing and mostly close out the podcast, Mikey Garcia, Jesse Vargas is the kind of. This one leads into a bit more of a discussion because I saw that there's something involved with Mikey Garcia and Manny Pacquiao that we're going to talk about potentially after this. But Mikey Garcia, Jesse Vargas, obviously Garcia is definitely the A side coming in this 39-1. He moved up to welterweight to take on Errol Spence, which a lot of people thought was too big of a gap for him, and it ultimately did. It was, he didn't even win a single round. A very much disappointing performance, but still, Mike Garcia wins over, Sergey Lipnitz, Adrian Broner, Roman Martinez, Juan Manuel Lopez, Saladito, obviously. He has a lot of good wins. Obviously, great fighter. I don't think anybody will dispute that. Taking on Jesse Vargas, who, he's struggled at times. The draw with Broner, the loss to Pacquiao, the loss to Bradley, but still a very, very high-level guy for Garcia to take on after ultimately getting dominated by Errol Spence. I'm taking Garcia, but I want to know who you got in this big DAZN showdown.
I mean, I still got Garcia. I mean, this is a good, marketing-wise, a good pick, I think that's a good person who he's taking on here. So we'll see. We'll see when tomorrow night how that goes down.
I'll ask you. So Eddie Hearn came out and he said that Manny Pacquiao wants to fight in Saudi Arabia, which makes sense.
Big money fight.
Not only is it a big money fight, people don't realize he's not going to get taxed that much in Saudi Arabia at all. And I believe that's the reason why. So he's going to get paid a fuckload. And apparently the name that's been attached to him is, if he wins, Mikey Garcia. There's a lot of names you can throw at Manny Pacquiao right now. I think Terrence Crawford was another one I saw discussed. I think Crawford might be too much for him, but I think Mikey Garcia would be a banger of a fight. Again, I'm not discounting Mikey, but I'm saying like that one I think fits. I think it would be more competitive. Do you want to see that next for Pacquiao? Because he has a lot of options right now.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think that'd be great for him. I think that gives us a good idea where he's at. I mean, he looked great in his last fight against Keith Thurman. But there's a lot of factors. There's a lot of things to question. But I think with Mikey, I think in that fight we would really get an idea of where Manny's at, how he feels, and if that Bud Crawford fight could be in the conversation. And if it was, I would love him to. If he were to fight Bud and win that, I would love him to retire at that point.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want him to retire, like, honestly, because I think he's still got some more left in him. At one point, though, he has to hit a wall, right? Like, at some point or another, he has to.
Well, we're going to see that. We're going to see that. That's what I'm telling you. We're going to see that. That's what I think. Mike, if he fights Mikey, that'll give us a great idea where he's at. And then from there, we'll see if he is, even in the talk for the Crawford fight, and if he does, let's say he fights Crawford, he looks great. I mean, I think maybe he defends the title one or two more times or whatever he decides to do, and then retires. Because I think, he should go out on top. I think just the legacy. I mean, the man's about to hit 70 fights here. He has over 70 fights, but he would hit his 70th. I think he's like one win away from his 70th win. I think he's funny enough sitting. No, he's at 62. He's still far away from it. But he has so many fights under his belt. Title defenses, title winner, crazy pay-per-view numbers. He's made a lot of money in his life. I think, he needs to go out on top on a good note, or maybe even win there and just end it there. I know we don't want to see him go, But I think when it comes to the grand scheme of things, it's probably the smart choice, and I think I'd be happy with that legacy just being done over there.
Yeah, honestly, I think it would be the smart decision. I'll never dispute that. I think that would be the smart decision in terms of retiring on top. But you look at I think the Mikey Garcia's fight is a smart one to make. I think it shows where he's going to be at because obviously the Keith Thurman one was awesome. I don't think anybody would dispute that. That was an awesome story. You know, facing this undefeated guy, who's, you know, a decade younger than him. It might be more than a decade. I think he's 30. It was like 41 versus 30 when that fight happened. And Keith Thurman, he's in the prime of his career, but also Keith Thurman, he's really been injured and struggling as of late. Obviously, he's still 29-0, but he barely got through Josito Lopez. He's been more of a journeyman guy. And then, you know, before that, he shredded. He messed up. I don't remember what the injury was, but a really bad injury. So he was out for 2 years after beating Danny Garcia. So even then, we don't know where Keith Thurman's at in his point in his career, and we don't really know where Pacquiao's at. Because even then, you look at his past two opponents before that, Adrian Broner, who I can't remember the last time Adrian Broner actually won a fight. Like, it's been a long time. Like, he's been in the spotlight.
Adrian thought he won. So.
I mean, the Hood knows. The Hood knows that he beat that boy. The Hood knows. The Hood knows that he beat Mikey and Jesse and all that stuff. Anyways, but regardless, Adrian Broner hasn't won in a long time. Looking at Wikipedia, it's been 3 years since Adrian Broner won. He beat Adrian Grandos. Since then, he's lost to Garcia, he drew with Vargas, and then he lost Pacquiao. But the Hood scored it for Adrian Broner for what it matters. And then before that, he beat Lucas Matisse, who is very much on the way out. I think that was Matisse's last fight, actually. He was still champ whenever he, faced Pacquiao, but even then, he was on the way out.
I mean, luckily his losses are forgivable because of the level of opponent.
No, absolutely. I'll agree there.
It's Maidana, Porter, Mikey, and Pac. So, I mean, it's not he's lost to only, like, the top, you know?
That's true. But he hasn't.
Oh, yeah.
He doesn't even look very competitive late.
Oh, yeah. No. You're right. You're 100% right.
Overall, I hope that fight happens. I think it would be a really, really fun one for Pacquiao, and at this point in his career, I think he only has a couple left. Like, totally he does. I think Mikey, maybe Crawford. I don't know if I don't know how competitive that would be, but I think we need to see the Mikey fight to see that happen. Probably a money fight down the line. God forbid with Conor McGregor. I'm just saying it. When there's smoke, there's fire. And they have the same manager now. I don't want to see it happen.
But well, you have that catch weight with Loma and Manny. That's what they're gonna fight.
Dude, I wanted that. Whenever they talked about that a lot. Whenever Pacquiao had just lost to Jeff Horn, they said that might happen, and I really, really wanted that to happen. I still think it'd be super competitive, but I don't know.
Oh, I think that'd be a good fight. I still think that'd be 100% a good fight.
But who knows? I think Pacquiao might be too big for him.
We'll see. I don't know. I'd love to see that. Like I said,
so that's on pay-per-view.
Oh, yeah, catchweight that shit, bro.
Yeah, I'd watch the shit out of that. Because Lomachenko's in a weird position right now.
Because everybody in that division is young.
Yeah, every single person in the division is young, and I want to see Teofimo Lopez, but I don't think he's going to be competitive.
He's not there yet, and he wants it. He's aware of the level. I mean, we saw the interview. He's aware of the level of man he's fighting. And, if I'm Loma, I'd probably try to move up or do some catch weight fights, maybe move up to super light, test my skills there, move down to super feather. I don't know. But the thing is, he's cleared out light. And, I mean, there's no point in fighting these kids' careers and just kind of staying in them. If I were him, I mean, I feel like he's just deserving of better competition anyways.
Yeah, I think so. So I think the Pacquiao catch weight would be fun. I think it'd be fun.
Yeah, who knows what would happen? But the thing is, I feel like Loma needs to figure something out. I mean, he's 32. I mean, I don't think he'll be in the sport for a crazy amount of time after this, or many, many more years or whatever. But he needs to figure somewhere else to be competitive, because, like I said, this lightweight division is super young, and there's not really too much for him anymore. I mean, I'm pretty sure he's taken on all the guys who are older. I mean, we're talking like the top guys are right now, like Teofimo, Gervonta, Devin Haney. And that's 2, 3, and 4 according to BoxRec, and all those guys are like stupid young. and obviously Ryan's up there, and then there's some other guys in between. But it's like, at this point, it's like, does Loma really need to fight? Whoever, right? Does he really need to fight Linares? Does he really need to fight? It's like, I don't know. It's just he needs to get out of there and figure something out. But we got into the Loma conversation. We were with Manny. Let's come back.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah. So Manny Mikey, I think it'd be a fun one. Even if let's say Jesse Vargas pulls the upset, I think that's a decent enough name. I think there's so many options right now for Manny. Literally everyone from Conor McGregor and Floyd Mayweather to Mikey, Crawford, literally anyone. But it seems like at this point we're gonna get Manny Pacquiao on DAZN later this year and in Saudi Arabia. That just seems like it's a foregone conclusion in probably July or June from what I've seen. So that's where we're at, man.
I mean, hopefully from not too long from now, that weight class gets moving, bro. Because we got some guys in there who need to fight. That's
true.
But I mean, I think that's all for boxing, isn't it?
I believe that's all we have for boxing. That's all we have for this week. So, thank you guys for listening as always. Courtside Soundoff on Spotify, YouTube, Podbean, iTunes, Apple Podcasts, anywhere you really think you can get us. We're probably there. Courtside Sound 1 on Twitter, which is the main place where we post our stuff, post updates, all that jazz. Instagram, Facebook, all that stuff. Don't really update those, but they exist, But anyways, so thank you guys for listening as always. Peace and butt grease. Mouse click.